on the Asian American community. I'm your host, Lisa Song Sutton. In this episode, I sit down with Ash Kumra, White House speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of Tradecraft Media. Check out behind the scenes and get more tips about business and community by following us on social media at Live with Lisa TV. My guest and dear friend Ash Kumra shares tips and information about how he got his start with his entrepreneurial dream. Ash is also a fellow member of the Young Entrepreneurs Council, and I can't wait for you to hear what he has to say and his advice for aspiring individuals. Here it is. Ash, you have so many endeavors going on. How do you juggle everything?
You know what? I'm all about work-life balance. So there's this notion that being an entrepreneur, you don't have work-life balance. I feel you create your own work-life balance. So I do something every morning where I have my own kind of like me time. And I do the first 2 hours just whatever I want. That could be working out, that could be cooking, that could be catching up on DVRs, that could be, just sharing gratitude. But because I do that, I don't feel like I need to waste time throughout the day. When I'm primed, like I feel satisfied in the morning, I can go hustle as long as I want throughout that day. See, I think if you don't take care of yourself in the mornings, you're gonna be frantic. You're gonna let the weather affect you. You're gonna let I'm gonna work at this time so I can just go out. No, you're like, I already celebrated. I'm gonna go spend some time now to get the work done.
And is there a spiritual component to that?
Yes, so if I had all the money in the world and I had nothing else to do, I would create meditation programs for the whole world. I'll tell you why. Meditation scientifically has proven to get your mental state really amazing. And when your mental state is really good, you can, output things that are really helpful because you're functioning higher, right? You know that term law of attraction where whatever you think about, you manifest, right? The Secret talks about this. So think about it. If your mental health is straight, like it's really good, then you're gonna think about manifesting good things and then good things are coming back. But if you don't meditate, you don't do other mindful things, you'll let the mind chatter affect you. You'll let what do people think about me? What is this? What is that? Oh, did you see the news today? Oh, 3 people got stabbed. And those things will occupy your head instead of you focusing on you.
With all your various endeavors, you have partners in some of them as well. How have you been able to select which partners you go into business with?
So the best advice, and I know this has been in many articles, is pick people that are good in areas that you're not necessarily so strong in. Okay, so there's so many articles on that, but the thing I kind of thought about talking about with you on is, what about picking people who make your energy good? So you might pick a person who, they might be, like for instance, I'm a communicator, okay? I'm not an operations expert. Let's say I picked an operations expert, but their energy is really low. So the whole time I'm gonna be with them, it's gonna be like, God, I'm trying to lift them up. And the whole time they're with me, they're like, oh God, he's like a pom-pom dancer, always trying to make me feel good, right? So I always feel now that besides the like-minded, besides picking strengths that are different than you, picking someone that has that like-minded energy.
What is your exit strategy?
So my exit strategy is more on the latter. I talked about big missions. I just want to create brands that impact the world. So I'm one of those people that likes to accumulate wealth and use wealth to create other ventures that make the world better.
So you're also a member of the Young Entrepreneurs Council. That's actually how we met. And why do you think that there's value in being part of an organization such as that?
So what's really cool is that the day this was being interviewed, I met with some YEC members in Newport Beach area where I live earlier this week. And it was so cool that I met these people, yet they live in my area, yet we got connected because we're a part of this group. And when we met, it was so chill. I felt like I knew their life story. And it was through that common bond of being an entrepreneur, not just an entrepreneur, but a high growth entrepreneur. And so when you're a part of a group like YEC, a lot of those awkward questions or a lot of that filtering goes away because you kind of know that okay, you're doing something meaningful for the world like me.
So what new projects do you have coming up in the pipeline?
Sure, I'm so happy to talk about this. So at this moment, I'm really focused on Tradecraft, a how-to video network. We launched about 4 months ago, and we're steadily growing to become this like knowledge video network for, helping young entrepreneurs and millennials learn how to master their passion. Hence the Tradecraft shirt. Along those lines, I interviewed someone. He is he's the chief strategy officer for Shreds, and we just jammed. He was just like, I love your energy. You ever thought about doing stuff in kind of entrepreneur news coverage, or covering the stories of like the amazing entrepreneurs that inspire the young rising stars out there? So we're coming up with something called Youngry. Yep. Youngry. Yeah, okay. Like young and hungry. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
You've been recognized by so many outstanding institutions, including the White House. What is your advice for someone who wants to reach more audiences and perhaps gain some of that recognition? Okay,
so this is an interesting question because my answer's changed over the years. Own your local environment before going big. So you and I had an earlier conversation about how's the Las Vegas Entrepreneur Committee, okay? So let's say you were just getting your feet wet in the Entrepreneur Committee out here. I would really be like the community manager out here. Like I would be responsible for help putting on events. I would be the person who helps bring in the outside speakers or whatever. And your name will then be known. And then when your name is known locally, nationally people will contact you.
Did you start with a business plan in each of your endeavors?
No, but along the way I did. So I'm a big fan of throwing yourself in and trying things. And then when that happens, updating the strategy. So I'm a big fan of 10 slide PowerPoints and 2-page exec summaries. Always do those every few months because you never know. You might need to scale at a certain level. And those are the two things that usually investors want, or usually sponsors want to know, or usually those strategic team members want to know.
So what is the one thing that all young entrepreneurs should be doing right now?
Mastering your pitch. Be fearless. Basically, don't give a darn what people think of your pitch. Your pitch is what people will see and say to themselves, hey, I'm gonna spend more time to learn about this, or hey, I'm kind of curious to learn more. Maybe I should think about investing. That's why if you watch these shows, like whether it's Shark Tank or my recent favorite Restaurant Startup, because I'm a big foodie, is like, it's their pitch that always gets it. It's not really the product. Yeah, the product's good, it tastes good, but it's really that compelling story. I think entrepreneurship has now become this game of how well you can craft your story.
Thank you, Ash, for your great insights and business tips. Stay tuned for our next segment.
When was the last time you truly competed? When was the last time you fought valiantly for what was rightfully yours? When was the last time you rewrote history? In the United States and around the world, we are Ultra Brand, and we build the world's most innovative and aggressive brands.
Welcome to Synergy Sotheby's International Realty. Our purpose is to artfully unite extraordinary properties with extraordinary lives. We are committed to helping our clients purchase or sell with unparalleled service from start to finish. With nearly 700 offices worldwide, including 2 in Las Vegas and Henderson, we provide access to luxury homes, investment properties, and more. Synergy Sotheby's International Realty.
Contact us at mohicamedia.com.
To learn more business tips and see behind-the-scenes photos, find our social media at Live with Lisa TV. Stay tuned for what we have coming up next.
Here we are at one of the most premier properties here at Lake Las Vegas. Gene, we know you to be a knowledgeable person. Please tell us about what you know here at Lake Las Vegas.
Ooh, it's a fascinating story, the origination of Lake Las Vegas. There was a gentleman by the name of Carlton Adair, and Mr. Adair owned property where Lake Mead is today. And of course, when they were building Hoover Dam, they came in and condemned all the privately owned land that was on Lake Mead. The end result was Mr. Adair said, I don't want money, but I want land and rights to build my own private lake. So he traded what is today Lake Las Vegas for his land that was on Lake Mead. The interesting thing was Mr. Adair wasn't well funded. He promptly went broke, and the bankruptcy court took our valley, divided it up into 160 parcels, and sold it off. There was a gentleman by the name of Ron Bodecker. Ron Bodecker had developed Waikoloa, Hawaii on the Big Island, a wonderful resort. Was flying here in Las Vegas in his helicopter looking for a next project. Discovered this valley, and he had his employees go in and look at the entitlements that were here on the valley and discovered that there was rights to build their own private lake. So Ron Bodecker, through 3 different companies, came in and bought the outer 50 parcels, landlocked the 110 that were left inside, and then of course they came running. He reassembled this property. In the process of reassembling, the water authority showed up, and because they did not want him to build the lake here. And they said, if you don't commence construction on the dam the day your permit says, and you don't complete it and start to fill your lake, we're not going to allow you to build or fill your lake. So without any financing involved, Ron Bodecker committed $20 million to building the dam. They ended up spending $49 million on the dam and the plumbing system that makes Lake Las Vegas work. And during that process, they needed partners, so they brought in the Bass brothers out of Texas, and they partnered up on the lake. Today, there's over $5 billion has been spent on the development of Lake Las Vegas, and it's just fantastic. One of my most memorable experiences at Lake Las Vegas is one night I'm down in the wine bar at the Village having dinner. Mr. Bodecker and his wife came in, and they were very friendly people, and we started chatting. And I said, Ron, what is your most memorable day of Lake Las Vegas? And Kitty, his wife, spoke up and said, that's easy. That's easy. You know, we had everything committed to build Lake Las Vegas, and I've got pictures of it. And it's pictures of my teenage children turning the valve to open the water to fill the lake. And it took 3 billion gallons to fill Lake Las Vegas. Fascinating story.
Very fascinating. So Gene, some of the great things that I know about Lake Las Vegas when I come out here is that they've got some amazing daily events that take place down here by the lake, such as your happy hours or your $5 sangrias all day. I've even heard of yoga or paddle boarding down there. What else do you know about the amenities?
Well, one of the great benefits to living in Lake Las Vegas, and it's really fun, is that we are 100% golf cart permittable. And we make the joke here that you're within a golf cart ride of 9 happy hours, because we have 9 restaurants here at Lake Las Vegas that most people miss. But wonderful venues, gorgeous scenery, a great place to come have a meal. But you know, Lake Las Vegas is designed and centered around our lake, and most people don't realize that Las Vegas is considered the 9th island of Hawaii. And from about Memorial Day to Labor Day, on Sunday mornings, if you show up behind the Westin at about 11 o'clock, there's 30 or 40 Samoans, Hawaiians, that show up at Lake Las Vegas to paddleboard. And it's old school, they're all getting together, preserving their culture and paddling out here. But whether you're kayaking on the lake, whether you rent a boat, whether you come out and swim, whether you're paddleboarding, it is just a blast. But the lake's just the tip. You know, we have 2 championship golf courses here. One of the other great benefits is if you're into cycling or hiking, we are the trailhead for the River Mountain Loop Trail, which is a 35-mile loop. You originate here in Lake Las Vegas. You can go all the way to Hoover Dam, through Boulder City, back down through the valley and back to Lake Las Vegas and never cross a major road. And it's all paved and manicured, and about half of it is illuminated. That's just one trail. We also have the Wetlands Trail system, which is about another 50 miles in total that originate here at the lake and go out into the national park. So there's so much to do here that it's just an outstanding place to live.
So Gene, we know that there have been some economic hurdles that this community has had to face, but I tell you what, on the way driving in here, I don't see it at all. I mean, Gene, tell us about the resurgence here at Lake Las Vegas.
During the downturn, Credit Suisse, who was the lender on the resort, took possession and operation of the resort for a couple of years. Then the resort was sold to a company called Raintree Development. Raintree Development, for us owners here at Lake Las Vegas, has been a wonderful partner. They have committed money and time and energy and continue to. And the reason that you see all the construction and all the improvements that are going on is because Raintree has set the foundation. Lake Las Vegas is very, very stable. All of our HOAs are well funded. It's just a wonderful thing now that's going on.
Okay, so with regard to the current inventory, I know there are townhomes, condos, vacant lots, and of course, great properties. What type of fees are involved with owning here?
Devin, I'm so glad you asked, because it's one of the great misconceptions with Lake Las Vegas. You know, typically HOA fees are paid monthly. Here at Lake Las Vegas, they are paid quarterly. And the problem that happens both with agents and with potential buyers is they look at that number and they assume it's a monthly fee, and it's not, it's a quarterly fee. For example, if we're talking monthly, our homes range from a low of $2.25 a month to about $405 a month. So it's right in line with all our other country clubs in Southern Nevada. If we're talking townhomes, they'll run from a low of about $500 to about $650 a month, depending on the amenities. And then condos typically mirror that a little bit. Some are a little higher, some are a little lower, but in that same range. So it's one of the great misconceptions about Lake Las Vegas, but it's because they're paid quarterly and people assume that it's a monthly fee, and it's not.
One of the things I love most about this area is the location.
Oh, Devin, it's awesome where we're located. You know, Lake Las Vegas is bordered on one side by Lake Mead National Park and on the other side by the state protected wetlands. So it'll never be built around or encroached upon here at the lake. But what we love about the serenity of living in Lake Las Vegas is not only all the amenities, but my wife and I truly enjoy the Strip. And it's just 30 minutes. And we want to run down to the heart of the Strip, we can jump in the car, in 30 minutes we're there, enjoy a great night, and then come home to peace and serenity.
Gene, I've been to wine walks, I've been to jazz on the park by the lake. There's so many things that I know about. Tell our viewers how they can take in Lake Las Vegas.
Oh, wow. There's many, many ways to enjoy Lake Las Vegas. Just coming out for a drive and driving Lake Las Vegas, or perhaps stopping at one of the hotels and having a drink or having a meal, or at one of our restaurants in the village and walking the village, or paddle boarding or kayaking, or come rent a boat for a couple hours and boat the lake. There's so many ways that you can come and enjoy. Come play around a golf, come ride our trails, come walk our trails.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah. Is there a cost to get in to take part in these amenities?
No. You can come to Lake Las Vegas and walk around and enjoy the amenities for nothing, right?
Yes.
There's small charges for rent of paddle boards and boats and those kinds of things, but to get into Lake, there's no fee to enter Lake Las Vegas.
Well, you heard it here first. Complimentary for you to come down and enjoy Lake Las Vegas.
But I got to tell you, Devin, there's no better way to enjoy Lake Las Vegas than owning here and living here. You know, we have homes anywhere from $350,000 to $10 million. And the experience of living here day to day and the ability to run down to the village and have dinner, or run down to the lake and go for a paddle board in the morning for a half hour before work, or go down and work out, or go play a round of golf on Sunday. I can't tell you, there's no better way than to enjoy live here. And whether you're looking for a new home or looking for resales, they're here.
Wow, I'm gonna have to look at the current inventory and see what we can do about that.
We'd love to have you as a neighbor.
Thank you so much, Gene, for speaking with us today.
You bet.
Luxury swimwear for the resort lifestyle. Visit us at liquidandlace.com.
Welcome to brandbridge.org. We connect quality brands with passionate influencers. Brands who want to grow need to be talked about, and it isn't enough to just have a company social media account. BrandBridge is a community with a vast network of influencers that can help your brand connect with millions of new customers in a meaningful way. You need trusted, curated influencers on your side that you can grow a true partnership with over time. We deliver substantial increases in engagement and awareness, along with rich analytics to track your social growth. Visit our website at brandbridge.org and download our app today.
Welcome to to Synergy Sotheby's International Realty. Our purpose is to artfully unite extraordinary properties with extraordinary lives. We are committed to helping our clients purchase or sell with unparalleled service from start to finish. With nearly 700 offices worldwide, including 2 in Las Vegas and Henderson, we provide access to luxury homes, investment properties, and more. Synergy Sotheby's International Realty.
Welcome to Sin City Cupcakes, Las Vegas's #1 alcohol-infused cupcake company. With over 40 decadent flavors, all of our product is baked fresh and made to order. We offer free delivery by the dozen across the Las Vegas Valley. We specialize in making your event or occasion fabulous. Call us at 702-776-0955 or place your order online today at sincitycupcakes.com.
When was the last time you truly competed? In the United States and around the world, we are Ultra Brand, and we build the world's most innovative and aggressive brands.
You can be a voice for the animals. If you can open up your heart and open up your home and make a lifetime commitment, you can't change the world. But for a little guy like this, you can change his world. I'm Lance Burton for the Nevada SPCA. Thank you.
This week's question comes to us from Jamie R. via email. Hi Lisa, love the show. I'm currently a teacher but want to get into a career in fashion. Any advice? Thanks for your help. Thanks for the question, Jamie. I think that's wonderful that you have this educational background and you already work a career as an instructor, as a teacher. Maybe try to find a way to marry the two. If fashion is your passion and maybe it's something that you pursue and read about and enjoy during your time off, find a way to try to marry the two. You could look into some sort of like educational or instructional opportunity where you can utilize your educational background, but also be teaching and instructing about something that you're passionate about. Another piece of advice is to definitely read up on the industry that inspires you. So make sure that you're subscribing to the latest fashion blogs, following the latest fashion Pinterest and Instagram influencers, because you want to stay on top of those trends and make sure it's something you're well versed in being able to talk about. Best of luck. Thanks for the question.
Have you been playing the waiting game instead of taking action towards your goals, dreams, writing a book, starting a business, building a brand? The waiting game ends up being the #1 reason why people don't reach their full potential. Now, sure, waiting could mean spending time, but the wait that I'm referring to here is the who am I to game. The waiting game of looping in your mind, who am I to write a book? Who am I to start a business? Who am I to take a stand? Who am I to teach and get paid for it based on my knowledge and experience? And it turns out that after working with dozens of authors in very deep one-to-one fashions and hundreds through online training, live events, entrepreneurs, authors alike, all seem to have this loop that's asking, who am I to really do this? And I can tell you in this video, I want to give you a tool that will help overcome that right away so you can stop waiting and start taking action and making progress, confident that you are enough to help and serve others. And so to illustrate this, the concept that I'll use is a spectrum. And on the one end is the first-time entrepreneur, the first-time author, somebody who's just about to take the first steps on their endeavor, and on the other end of the spectrum is the world's foremost expert. So let's look at it like entrepreneurs, and everybody else, including myself, is somewhere in between. All right, so on the one hand, you've got the first-time entrepreneur, and on the other hand, you've got Richard Branson, right? 300 businesses, billionaire. But is it appropriate for Richard Branson to teach the first-time entrepreneur the mechanics and ins and outs of starting and growing a business? Sure, he probably could, but it's definitely not the best use of his time, and it's also so far beyond the first-timer's grasp that it may not actually, those lessons may not sink in. So what's the solution? Well, everybody else is on this spectrum. You, myself, everybody that started taking action down a path, and if you instead reframe the question of who am I to teach entrepreneurship, I'm not Richard Branson, and instead say, who can I help that's a couple steps behind me on this journey. Looked at from their perspective, how can you find somebody that's a few months or years down the path that you want to go on and engage them to help you? They're more attuned to the day-to-day struggles and moving towards accomplishing those goals than somebody that's years or decades down the path. And it's actually more relevant and appropriate that somebody who's doing exactly what you want to be doing teach you how to do exactly that. Well, that can be you in any field where you've gotten some accomplishments, gained some experience, and are therefore somewhere further down the spectrum. So instead of saying, who am I to do this and that, say, who can I help? Who can I serve that's in the position I was in a few months or years ago? And truly, some of the best books, some of the best businesses and products and brands were developed by people that were serving their former selves. And truly, when I wrote Lifestyle Entrepreneur, the question in my mind was, how can I write a book that I would have loved to read when I was 19, 20 years old? And ultimately, that's the book that I wrote. Instead of saying, hey, I'm not Richard Branson, who am I to teach and talk about entrepreneurship? I said, well, I've got 10 years of experience and have taken a non-traditional approach to business and life. And I bet you there's a bunch of other people out there who would benefit from that knowledge. That was the approach that I took with Lifestyle Entrepreneur. That's the approach that you can take in your book or business or brand, is really reorienting towards service and how can you help people that want to be in the position you're at and beyond. And how can you do that authentically and congruently where the focus is on them instead of your own perceived inadequacies. So just like it doesn't make sense for the world's foremost expert to teach the first timer, it makes perfect sense for you to teach somebody that's where you were a few months or years ago. And that's how you stop playing the waiting game and start taking action and being of service. So I hope that this serves you, and I'll see you in a future video. Thank you, and to your success.
Thank you to all my guests who joined me this week. If you have questions relating to business or entrepreneurship, submit them via social media at Live with Lisa TV or through our website at livewithlisa.tv, and I'll answer them right here on the show. I will leave you with a quote from the founder of VNG, Lee Hong Ming. You need to love your work and work hard at it. Constantly ask yourself, what is the most important thing to you right now? Have a positive week.
I didn't script these lines. They're just awful. Make it sound like I'm scripted, like a professional speaker. Like
this is all scripted.
It's all scripted.
It's like I'm actually reading a teleprompter.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a teleprompter in there. I'm getting turned back on by Lisa. How cool am I?
Rockstar.
Rockstar. Here you go.
Okay.
Sorry. Your lower thirds will pop up.
The properties here. Oh, let me start that over.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna change this dress real quick, and then we'll do. Jen comes. Sorry. This week. Sorry.
It's okay.